Imagine a world where the darkest corners of the internet and the depths of your worst nightmares converge. Welcome to the realm of spine-tingling tales and unsettling stories that will haunt your every thought. Today we explore the chilling art of creepypasta creation, but with a twist. In this digital age, we've seen AI evolve and transform various aspects of our lives, but can it delve into the realm of the macabre and craft stories that send shivers down your spine? What happens when AI takes over the role of a creepypasta creator? In this very moment, as you watch and listen, a haunting journey begins. But there's a catch. I, the one delivering these ominous words, haven't penned a single word of this video. No, this time it's the AI, the creation of code and algorithms, that will craft the nightmares you're about to experience, including this very introduction. I haven't written anything, but the AI has done pretty much everything. So sit back and relax, if you dare, and prepare for a descent into the twisted, the uncanny, and the inexplicable. You are about to witness AI-generated creepypastas that will challenge the very boundaries of your imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be captivated, horrified, and left wondering what otherworldly forces might be lurking in the digital shadows. The Haunting of Willowbrook House. The moment the Johnson family set foot inside the Willowbrook house, they knew they had made a grave mistake. The old, seemingly abandoned mansion stood in the heart of the countryside, its once grand facade now crumbling with age. As they stepped through the creaking front door, an unsettling chill ran down their spines. Strange occurrences started almost immediately. Whispered voices echoed through the halls at night, their words too muffled to comprehend. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, vanishing when they tried to focus on them. Every room seemed to have a history, and the past was intent on making itself known. One evening, as young Emily wandered the labyrinth corridors, she encountered a pale, spectral figure in a tattered Victorian-era gown. The ghostly woman's eyes bore into Emily's soul, filled with an indescribable sadness. Emily tried to speak, but no words escaped her trembling lips. The apparition extended a hand, fingers reaching out as if to touch Emily's face. The girl felt an icy breath on her skin, and then the spectre vanished, leaving her in a stunned silence. The encounter left her shaken with a growing sense of dread. In their quest to uncover the truth about Willowbrook House, the Johnsons delved into the local archives and discovered a dark history. The mansion had been the site of a gruesome murder-suicide in the late 1800s, a tragedy that had left a stain on the land. It seemed that the spirits of those who had suffered within its walls were unwilling to rest in peace. The family tried to leave, but the mansion wouldn't release its hold on them. Every exit seemed to lead them deeper into the heart of the haunting. The once loving family soon descended into madness, their voices joining the chorus of the tormented souls that lingered in the mansion. The Haunting of Willowbrook House was a nightmare that refused to end, a place where the living and the dead were forever intertwined in a macabre dance of despair, their fates sealed by the mansion's dark history. The Whispering Woods. It had been a dare, a challenge among friends. They would venture into the remote forest known as the Whispering Woods, where eerie legends had endured for generations. The thick canopy overhead seemed to blot out the sun, and the twisted trees bore silent witness to their arrival. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest fell into darkness. The friends huddled around their campfire, sharing ghost stories and trying to laugh off the oppressive atmosphere. But the legends weighed heavily on their minds. Then it began. Faint, barely discernible whispers, like the soft breath of the wind, seemed to emanate from the very trees themselves. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, but the source of the whispers remained elusive. They decided to investigate, curiosity and fear pushing them deeper into the woods. The whispers grew louder, and the forest's ancient trees took on a sinister aura, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The whispers were no longer unintelligible. They spoke of forgotten secrets, dark deeds, and the sorrow of the forest's countless victims. The friends pressed on, their flashlights cutting through the gloom, the trees seeming to close in around them. As they ventured deeper, the forest transformed. The trees contorted and twisted, their bark contorted in a grotesque face that moaned and whispered. The friends felt an unrelenting dread, but they couldn't turn back. The woods seemed to demand something from them, something they couldn't comprehend. Finally, they reached a clearing where the whispers coalesced into a chorus of tormented voices, each telling a story of pain and betrayal. It was then that they realized the chilling truth. The Whispering Woods were alive. and they would ensnare a nightmarish encounter, prisoners of the forest's dark history. The friends tried to escape, but the forest had other plans. Its whispers grew deafening and the trees seemed to reach for them, their branches wrapping around their bodies, and the whispering woods had claimed them, adding their voices to its macabre symphony of despair. As the night wore on, the whispering woods swallowed their screams, and their souls became one with the haunted forest, forever adding to its unnerving legends. The Haunting of Room 13. The old hotel stood as a relic of a bygone era, with its ornate architecture and fading grandeur. Among its many rooms, Room 13 was infamous. Whispered tales spoke of its curse. Guests who dared to stay there often vanished without a trace, leaving only disturbing recordings of their final moments behind. No one knew what horrors lurked within, but the stories had always sent shivers down the spines of those who worked at the hotel. The room was shrouded in darkness even during the day, as if it absorbed all light and warmth. One day, an investigator named Alex decided to uncover the truth behind Room 13's legend. Armed with cameras, audio recording equipment, and a heart filled with equal parts curiosity and dread, they checked into the room. As night fell, the room's atmosphere grew oppressive, and the air seemed to grow colder with every passing hour. Strange sounds emanated from the walls, whispers too faint to discern. Alex's camera captured bizarre anomalies, shadows that moved of their own accord, and eerie apparitions that appeared to vanish in the blink of an eye. The investigators' pulse quickened and they couldn't help but feel as if they were being watched. The digital recorder picked up ghostly voices, begging for release from their torment, their pleas sending shivers down Alex's spine. The night wore on and the investigators' resolve began to waver, but just as they were considering fleeing Room 13, a chilling voice echoed through the darkness. It was the voice of a past guest, recorded in one of the earlier investigations. "Get out. It's not too late for you," the voice warned. In a pale light of dawn, the investigator made their escape, leaving Room 13 behind. The recordings and footage collected that night told a horrifying story, one of malevolent forces, trapped souls, and an entity that seemed to feed on the fear of those who dared to enter. Room 13 remained cursed and its secrets remained locked away, an enigma that only the bravest, or most foolish, dared to confront. Alex, forever changed by the encounter, had uncovered the chilling truth of the haunting room. The Carnival of Lost Souls. For years, the carnival had been a ghostly, decaying relic of the past, a place where laughter and music had once filled the air, now silenced by abandonment and despair. Its rides and attractions stood still, shrouded in darkness. But then, one fateful night, the light flickered to life, the music started playing, and the Carnival of Lost Souls mysteriously reopened. News of the carnival's sudden revival spread like wildfire, drawing thrill seekers and the curious to its long-forgotten gates. For many, the allure of the carnival was irresistible, a chance to relive the excitement of their childhood. Little did they know that the carnival was no ordinary amusement park. As visitors entered, they were greeted by a carnival barker with a twisted smile. His eyes gleamed with an eerie, otherworldly light. The attractions were unlike any they had ever seen. Mirrors that distorted reflections into grotesque monstrosities, carousels that spun at breakneck speeds, and a freak show filled with performers who were far from ordinary. The carnival's sinister secret became apparent as night fell. The attractions took on a nightmarish quality, their once harmless fun now twisted into horror. The Hall of Mirrors seemed to reflect the deepest fears and insecurities, and those who dared to enter were trapped in a maze of distorted nightmares. The carousel of despair sped up uncontrollably, leaving riders screaming and vomiting as they clung to their mounts. The freak show of performers revealed their true, monstrous forms, and the audience was powerless to look away from the grotesque spectacle. The escape seemed impossible as the carnival's enchantment tightened its grip. Those who tried to flee were met with a never-ending maze of eerily flickering lights and deceptive pathways that led them deeper into the nightmare. The Carnival of Lost Souls had a sinister purpose: to ensnare those who entered, stealing their joy and innocence, turning them into lost souls themselves. The carnival was a malevolent entity, a funhouse of horrors that thrilled on the fear and suffering of its unwitting guests. As the first light of dawn broke, the carnival fell silent once again, retreating into its slumber with the screams and cries of the lost souls echoing in its dark, hidden corners. It would remain a place of nightmares, waiting for the next unwitting victims to be drawn into its sinister funhouse of horrors. The Mannequin's Curse. In the dimly lit corners of a cluttered flea market, struggling artist Isabel stumbled on a hidden gem, a beautiful antique mannequin with an air of timeless elegance. Its porcelain-like features and meticulously crafted form made it a perfect model for her art. Or so she thought. As soon as Isabella brought the mannequin home, strange occurrences began to unfold. It seemed to have a presence, an unsettling energy that permeated her studio. Its glassy eyes seemed to follow her every move, and Isabel could not escape the feeling of being watched. As she worked on her art, the mannequin took on a life of its own. The poses she had initially arranged began to shift and evolve, taking on a disturbing, lifelike quality. The more she painted, the more the mannequin's likeness haunted her canvases, each stroke of the brush capturing its eerie, unchanging smile. Isabel's obsession with the mannequin grew. She couldn't bring herself to part with it, even as its presence began to exert a malevolent influence over her art. The subjects of her paintings seemed to come to life, their eyes filled with the haunting sadness, as if they were trapped in a world between the living and the lifeless. Night after night, Isabella was plagued by vivid dreams of the mannequin, its expression growing ever more sinister. In her sleep-deprived state, she started to lose touch with reality, unable to distinguish between her waking life and the haunting visions that invaded her mind. The line between art and madness blurred as Isabella's paintings took on a darker, more nightmarish quality. Her subjects seemed to reach out from the canvas, their outstretched hands grasping for something beyond her comprehension. Desperation gnawed at Isabella's sanity as she realized the mannequin was not merely an inanimate object. It was a cursed vessel, a conduit for something otherworldly. The more she tried to resist its influence, the stronger its hold became. Trapped in the nightmarish cycle of creativity and torment, Isabella was left with an unbearable choice: break free from the mannequin's curse, or surrender to its sinister power. Becoming a prisoner of her own haunting creations, the mannequin had become both muse and tormentor, and Isabella's art would forever bear the mark of its disturbing influence. The Black-Eyed Children. In a quiet suburban neighborhood nestled beneath the cover of darkness, a chilling presence began to make itself known. Residents reported encounters with eerie children who appeared at their doorstep in the dead of night, their eyes black as the abyss. The children's visits were always unexpected, and they would stand silently in the dim glow of the porch lights. Their faces obscured by shadows, their black eyes seemed to absorb all light, and those who dared to gaze into them were left with an overwhelming sense of dread, as if their very souls were being drawn into the void. The children spoke in hushed, almost robotic voices, asking for help, claiming to be lost or in the need of assistance. But their requests were always vague, and their intentions shrouded in uncertainty. Each encounter left the residents feeling a growing unease, a primal fear that gnawed at their sanity. In the aftermath of these disturbing visits, strange occurrences began to plague the neighborhood. Whispers in the dead of night, strange symbols etched into doorframes, and a growing feeling of being watched turned the once peaceful suburb into a living nightmare. As the sightings of the black-eyed children increased, so did the fear among the residents. Some chose to ignore the children, hoping they would go away, but their presence only grew more persistent. Others, out of a sense of compassion, tried to help, but they too were drawn into the vortex of terror and despair. The black-eyed children seemed to feed on the fear and unease they instilled in their victims, leaving a wake of dread and despair in their path. The suburban neighborhood had become a breeding ground for the unknown, a place where the line between reality and the supernatural had grown thin. No one knew where the black-eyed children came from or what they truly wanted, but one thing was certain: they were harbingers of darkness, and their presence had forever altered the peaceful streets of the suburban neighborhood. The residents were left to grapple with the haunting question: how do you escape the relentless gaze of the black-eyed children when they seem to exist beyond the boundaries of reality? The forgotten amusement park. Hidden away in the depths of the decaying city, an abandoned amusement park emerged from the shroud of history. A place that had vanished from the maps and memories decades ago. For urban explorer Ethan, the park was a tantalizing mystery, a chance to unearth the secrets of its past. As he ventured deeper into the park, the rides and attractions stood as eerie remnants of a bygone era. The rusty roller coaster tracks twisted through the air like skeletal remains, and the faded posters of smiling faces seemed to mock the desolation that now enveloped the place. The park's atmosphere was thick with a palpable, suffocating silence, broken only by the creaking of aging structures and the distant sound of ghostly laughter that no longer had a place in this world. Ethan's exploration took a sinister turn as he stumbled upon an underground tunnel hidden beneath the park's decaying funhouse. The passage led him to a forgotten chamber adorned with ancient symbols and cryptic writings that told a chilling tale. The amusement park had once been a front for a secret society, a cult that conducted forbidden rituals and dark ceremonies under the guise of an innocent entertainment. The park's attractions were designed to lure visitors into a sense of false security, creating a perfect cover for their sinister operation. Ethan uncovered photographs of the cult members, their faces twisted in devotion to some malevolent force. He realized that the cult's activities had grown increasingly dark, culminating in a cataclysmic event that led to the park's abrupt disappearance from public consciousness. As he delved deeper into the underground tunnels, Ethan uncovered a hidden altar, an eerie chamber where the cult's last, desperate ritual had taken place. The walls bore the desperate writings of those who had tried to stop the cult, their words filled with a growing sense of dread and despair. Ethan's exploration had unlocked a door to a nightmarish past, and he was not alone. The spirits of those who had been sacrificed in the cult's rituals still lingered, their agonizing wails and tormented souls becoming part of the park's grim legacy. Haunted by the sinister reason behind the amusement park's disappearance, Ethan had unwittingly set free the malevolent force that had laid dormant for decades. The forgotten amusement park had once been a place of dark secrets, and now it was a place of unimaginable horror, a twisted time capsule from a past that should have remained buried. The shadow in the mirror. For Mia, the mirrors in her home had always been portals to her reflection, a mundane necessity of life. But as she gazed into her own eyes one fateful evening, she began to notice something profoundly unsettling, strange shadows that seemed to move independently of her actions. At first, Mia dismissed them as mere tricks of the light, figments of her imagination, but the shadows were persistent, lurking in the background of her reflection. Their movement subtle and sinister. It was as if they had a life of their own, a presence that existed just beyond her awareness. The shadows grew bolder, casting their own eerie reflections on the mirror's surface. They seemed to beckon to her, drawing her deeper into the supernatural world that they lay hidden just beyond the glass. Each day the shadows grew darker, their forms more distinct, and their intent increasingly malevolent. One night as Mia stared into the mirror, the shadows seemed to reach out for her. The sensation was chilling, as if icy fingers brushed against her skin. She recoiled in fear, but it was too late. The shadows had gained a grip on her, pulling her into their nightmarish realm. In this twisted reflection of reality, Mia found herself trapped in a world where the shadows were not mere spectres, but entities with a sinister purpose. They led her down a terrifying path into a dimension where the laws of physics and logic had no meaning. As Mia navigated this surreal, shadowy realm, she encountered other souls who had fallen victim to the same malevolent forces. They shared stories of their torment and warned her of the shadow's ultimate goal, to consume her soul and make her a permanent resident of their dark world. With every passing day, Mia's own reflection in the mirror grew dimmer as the shadows grew stronger. Desperation set in as she realized that escaping the supernatural nightmare would be a near impossible task. The shadow in the mirror had become her tormentor, an entity that thrived on her fear and despair. Mia was left with a haunting question. Could she break free from the grip of the shadows and find her way back to the world of the living, or would she become just another lost soul in the shadowy abyss? The phone call from beyond. After the passing of her beloved grandmother, Sarah found herself immersed in grief, struggling to come to terms with the void left by the matriarch's absence. She had been the guiding light in Sarah's life, and her loss left an irreplaceable emptiness. One quiet evening, as Sarah sat in the dimly lit living room, her phone rang. The caller ID displayed her grandmother's number, and her heart skipped a beat. Trembling, she answered the phone, her voice quivering as she spoke her grandmother's name. A familiar voice, filled with warmth and love, greeted her from the other end. It was unmistakably her grandmother's voice, but the message she brought defied the laws of the living. She spoke of an afterlife, a place of undescribable beauty and serenity, a realm beyond the comprehension of the living. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as her grandmother shared details of this otherworldly paradise. The words painted a picture of peace and contentment, a place where pain and suffering had no dominion. She reassured Sarah that she was no longer in pain and that her spirit had found eternal rest. But as the conversation continued, Sarah couldn't help but feel a growing unease. Her grandmother's tone shifted, her words taking on a hauntingly quality. She began to speak of things she couldn't have known in life, secrets that had been buried with her in the grave. and events that had transpired since her passing. The chilling realization struck Sarah the voice on the other end was not of her grandmother, but something else. Something that had taken on her grandmother's form and voice to deliver a message from beyond. It was a message that defied the laws of reality, a warning that the line between the living and the dead was not as clear-cut as it seemed. Sarah hung up the phone, her heart racing and her mind consumed by a paralyzing fear. The call had left her with an unsettling truth. Her grandmother's spirit had reached out to her from the afterlife, but she had unknowingly made contact with something that dwelled in the shadowy realm between the living and the dead. The phone call from beyond was a haunting reminder that the boundaries of life and death were not absolute, and there were forces in the universe that could bridge the gap, leaving the living to grapple with an unnerving mystery of the beyond. The Lost Tapes of Dr. Harrow. Dr. Jonathan Harrow was a brilliant scientist known for pushing the boundaries of ethical research. His controversial experiments earned him both acclaim and infamy in the scientific community. After his sudden and mysterious disappearance, his work was shrouded in legend, with many believing he had crossed into forbidden territory. Years later, a researcher named Olivia stumbled upon a cache of old videotapes in the dusty archives of an abandoned laboratory. The tapes bore Dr. Harrow's name and were marked as classified and forbidden. With a mix of curiosity and trepidation, Olivia began to view them. As the videos played, they revealed a horrifying world of experimentation that defied all understanding. Dr. Harrow had been delving into the realms of the paranormal and the macabre, conducting forbidden experiments on human subjects. His subjects, once ordinary people, were transformed into nightmarish entities that defied the laws of nature. The tapes documented gruesome procedures and the agonized screams of his subjects as they were subjected to unimaginable torment. Dr. Harrow had sought to uncover the secrets of life and death, using forbidden knowledge to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. As Olivia watched in horror, the experiments became increasingly twisted, and their results becoming increasingly monstrous. Dr. Harrow's own sanity seemed to unravel as he delved deeper into the abyss, his obsession with unlocking the secrets of the afterlife consuming him. The footage revealed a dark, hidden world that extended far beyond the boundaries of science, a realm where the living and the dead intertwined in a gruesome and unnatural way. The entities created by Dr. Harrow's experiments were beyond any comprehension, as they hungered for something that was never meant to be tampered with. Olivia realized that she had uncovered the horrifying legacy of Dr. Harrow's forbidden experiments, and the truth was more terrifying than any urban legend. The tapes left her haunted with a chilling understanding that there were secrets that should remain buried and experiments that should never have been conducted. The lost tapes of Dr. Harrow were a testament of the dark consequences of the forbidden knowledge and the terrifying price that those who sought to unlock the mysteries of the unknown would ultimately pay. The midnight train to nowhere. In the heart of the bustling city, among the labyrinth maze of the tracks and schedules, a mysterious train existed. A midnight train to nowhere. It wasn't listed on any official schedule or map, known only to a select few who had heard whispers of its existence. One fateful night, John, a weary commuter, stumbled upon the elusive platform. The platform appeared deserted, and there was no signage, no attendance, no indication of its destination. But there, in the dim moonlight, the midnight train to nowhere waited. Its doors opened as if beckoning to him. John, fueled by a curiosity he couldn't resist, stepped aboard. The train was empty, save for a handful of passengers whose presence was enigmatic and unsettling. They sat in silence, their faces obscured by shadows, their clothing bearing an air of timeless fashion. As the journey began, the train rumbled along tracks that led to destinations unknown. The cityscape outside the windows seemed to wrap and twist, taking on surreal, otherworldly qualities. The city's buildings became monstrous structures, reaching into the darkened sky like grotesque apparitions. The train's passengers remained eerily quiet, their eyes fixed on some invisible point beyond the windows. John, growing increasingly uneasy, tried to engage them in conversation, but their responses were cryptic and detached, as if they existed on a realm beyond the ordinary. As the journey continued, the train ventured into a nightmarish landscape. The sky was an eerie shade of crimson, and the landscape transformed into a realm of darkness and despair. Bizarre creatures roamed the desolate streets, and the train's destination remained a mystery. Fear gnawed at John as he realized that the midnight train to nowhere was a gateway to a place that defied reason and reality. The passengers, it seemed, were trapped in an eternal purgatory, their souls forever bound to the enigmatic journey. The train's final stop was nowhere, a realm of eternal twilight and haunting uncertainty. The passengers disembarked in silence, disappearing into the surreal landscape, their purpose and fate forever obscured. As the train pulled away, John was left alone on the platform, the echoes of the bizarre journey lingering in his mind. He had glimpsed a world that defied comprehension, a place where the rules of existence were rewritten, and the boundaries of reality had no meaning. The midnight train to nowhere was a journey that would haunt John's nightmares, a reminder that there were places and experiences that existed beyond the boundaries of understanding, and that some secrets were best left undiscovered. The Skinwalker's Curse. Underneath the starry expanse of the Navajo Reservation, a group of friends embarked on a camping trip, eager for adventure and a break from their everyday lives. The rugged wilderness seemed to hold endless possibilities for excitement, but little did they know that something far more sinister lurked in the shadows. As they gathered around the campsite, sharing stories and laughter, the wind began to howl and the atmosphere grew tense. A feeling of unease settled over the group, and the crackling fire seemed to offer little comfort against the encroaching darkness. It was then that they heard it, a blood-curdling scream, a distorted cry that seemed both human and animal. A sense of dread fell over the friends as they realised they were not alone in the wilderness. A figure emerged from the darkness, its form shifting and twisting, morphing into grotesque shapes. It was a skinwalker, an entity known for its ability to assume the appearance of others. The friends were trapped with a creature that could take on their identities, and it was hunting them. As the night wore on, the paranoia and fear gripped the group. They couldn't be sure who among them was still human and who had become a vessel for the skinwalker. The creature's taunts and mimicry of their voices sent shivers down their spines. The friends realised that they had to outwit the skinwalker to uncover its true form and prevent it from assuming their identities. Their trust in each other was put to the test as they devised a plan to confront the creature and uncover its weakness. The tension in the group reached a breaking point as the Skinwalker's games grew more sinister. It exploited their fears and insecurities, using their own voices to torment them. The friends had to rely on their knowledge of Navajo legends and lore to find a way to defeat the shape-shifting entity. They confronted the Skinwalker, forcing it to reveal its true form. The battle was a test of courage and cunning, and the friends had to work together to banish the creature back to the shadows from whence it came. The Skinwalker's curse had forever altered the friends' perception of the Navajo Reservation, a place where ancient legends and supernatural forces were not merely stories, but a chilling reality. They had faced a shape-shifting entity, and the experience would haunt their memories, a reminder that some mysteries of the wilderness are best left undiscovered. The Dollmaker's Workshop. In a sleepy, picturesque town nestled among rolling hills and meadows, there stood a vintage doll collection that was the talk of the town. These dolls, with their intricately designed clothing and lifelike expressions, were the pride of the local museum, but as the sun dipped below the horizon, they revealed their dark secret. At night, when the moon cast an eerie glow through the museum's windows, the dolls came to life. They moved with uncanny grace, their porcelain limbs shifting silently, their glassy eyes tracking the unseen. The townspeople whispered tales of hearing faint, unsettling whispers emanating from the locked museum doors. The key to this enigma lay in the town's reclusive dollmaker, a mysterious figure known as Agnes Grey. Her secluded workshop nestled in the woods held the key to the sinister connection between her creations and the town's missing children. The dolls bore an uncanny resemblance to the children who had disappeared over the years. Each doll was meticulously crafted, capturing the essence of their human counterparts with chilling accuracy. The townspeople couldn't shake the eerie feeling that the children's souls had been somehow bound to the porcelain figures. As the town delved deeper into the mystery, they discovered that Agnes Grey's life was shrouded in tragedy and darkness. Rumours of her obsession with the supernatural and her experiments in soul transference began to surface. The townspeople wondered if the missing children had been victims of her sinister creations. The dolls in the museum's collection were a conduit for Agnes Grey's twisted ambitions. They whispered secrets in the night, secrets of what had transpired in her workshop, secrets that had been locked away in their porcelain hearts. The townspeople soon realised they needed to confront Agnes Grey and uncover the truth. They journeyed to her secluded workshop where the air was thick with a scent of freshly baked porcelain and the eerie echoes of her haunting laughter. In a chilling confrontation, the dark secrets of the dollmaker were unveiled and the missing children's fates were revealed. The dolls had not only the memories of their past lives, but also the essence of their tormentor, a dollmaker whose sinister creation had bridged the gap between the living and the dead. The Dollmaker's Workshop was a haunting tale of a town's descent into darkness. where the beauty of artistry had been twisted into a sinister curse, and where the dolls themselves became a testament to the price of crossing the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural. The Mirror of Lost Souls. In the decrepit, long-forgotten mansion that had once been a symbol of grandeur, an antique mirror lay shrouded in the darkness of an abandoned room. Its ornate frame and cloudy surface hinted at a history lost to time, but within its glass resided an otherworldly secret. As Sarah, an intrepid urban explorer, ventured into the abandoned mansion, she couldn't resist the allure of the mirror. Its surface seemed to beckon her, drawing her nearer. Gazing into it, she saw not only her own reflection, but a myriad of tormented souls, each trapped in a liminal realm that bridged the line between the living and the dead. With each passing moment, the mirror's enchantment pulled Sarah deeper into the spectral world where the trapped souls whispered, their haunting stories of love, loss, betrayal, and anguish. Their voices filled her mind, each story more tragic than the last. She watched in helpless horror as the mirror revealed the pasts of these lost souls, the moments that led to their entrapment within the glass. Their faces contorted with pain and despair, their eyes pleading for release from the spectral prison. In the realm of the mirror, time had no meaning, and Sarah became an unwilling spectator to the endless tragedy of the souls she encountered. The stories they told were a reflection of the darkest corners of the human experience, a tapestry of suffering and sorrow. The mirror's allure was inescapable, its power irresistible. Sarah was drawn deeper into the stories, the soul's pain becoming her own. She began to fear that in her obsession with the mirror, she might share their fate, trapped in a realm where the echoes of the past reverberate endlessly. Desperation set in as Sarah realized that she needed to find a way to break free from the mirror's enchantment and release the trapped souls. But with each story she uncovered, each lost soul she encountered, the task became more daunting and the mirror's hold on her grew stronger. The Mirror of the Lost Souls was a chilling testament to the price of curiosity and the consequences of tampering with the boundary between the living and the dead. Sarah's journey would leave her forever changed, a witness to the torment of those who had lost their souls within the mirror's depths. The Loyal Guardian. I was not like them, my humans. I couldn't understand their words or the strange ways, but that didn't matter, for I loved them with a devotion only a pet could understand. I was their loyal guardian. My days were simple and filled with joy. I greeted them at the door when they returned home, my tail wagging with excitement. I sat by their side as they read, watched TV, or simply enjoyed the warmth of the sun. I was a silent companion, but my presence brought them comfort and happiness. But as the seasons changed, a shadow fell upon our home. They brought home a new object, one that emitted a strange, haunting melody. They called it a music box. Its eerie tunes filled the room, and I could see the unease in their eyes as they listened to its melancholy notes. At night, when the moon cast its silvery light through the windows, they gathered around the music box, their faces filled with a mixture of fascination and fear. The melodies seemed to transport them to another world, a world that existed beyond the boundaries of our cozy home. I watched as the music box's haunting tunes began to affect my humans. They grew distant, their laughter and joy fading. The room filled with an otherworldly chill, and I could sense a presence that did not belong. One evening, as they huddled around the music box, they spoke of someone they called the Wanderer of the Night. They believed that the haunting melodies were a gateway to a realm of lost souls, and they sought to communicate with the enigmatic figure. I could sense the darkness had infiltrated our home, a presence that was not of this world. The room seemed to tremble with an uneasy energy, and I knew that something had been unleashed. The more they delved into their obsession with the music box and the Wanderer of the Night, the further they drifted from me. I became a silent witness to their descent into a world of darkness and despair, unable to protect them from the malevolent force they had awakened. I longed for the days when our home was filled with laughter and love, but those days had become a distant memory. I remained their loyal guardian, standing watch as the haunting melodies of the music box played on, a reminder of the price they had paid for tampering with forces beyond their understanding. Right, so that's it. Let me know if you made it to the end in the comments, you brave souls. Thanks for watching, and why not check out either of the two videos on screen right now. Strangest Phobias on the left, or on the right we have Unexplained Mysteries. Whichever you pick, I'll see you there.